Thomas, there is something I can agree with you there.
Yes. I mean, it's Charlie Brown. I mean,
it's just that Thanksgiving is not nearly as marketable of a holiday as the other holidays.
It's not.
No.
And I think one of the things
this is what the LMA is about now.
For
this is where the holiday delineations should be.
I should have put
those who grew up away from extended family, we never went to visit them for Thanksgiving. We went to visit them for Christmas. And that is something to think about, is those people, you know, like I went to Buffalo, New York every other Christmas, and those memories are way stronger than Thanksgiving with just my immediate family.
It's weird because my family did the opposite. We always went to our far family. Like we drove 8, 9, 10 hours to get to family.
For Thanksgiving?
So for Christmas, we stayed home, and our closer family that kind of lived further away would come to us.
Same.
Here's the funny thing on my side. It was both, because Thanksgiving, my father's brother was married to my mother's sister, so I have two cousins who are cousins on both sides of the family. Both of them were born a year apart. Both of them were born a year apart the week of Thanksgiving, so Thanksgiving was also their birthday. So all the family would congregate on the house.
Every year. The world has just blown up because of you, Robert.
Every year they would congregate there. And then for Christmas, both sets of my grandparents lived in the same town as us. So Christmas Eve was the Polish side of the family. Christmas Day was the Italian side of the family. But so all the cousins would go either one or the other, with the exception of the one set who would be at both. And half the time, if they were coming from out of town, they'd stay and come over to the other side anyway. So, you know, Christmas,
Robert,
we saw everyone.
We agree that the Polish side is better, right? Robert?
Well, except for the fact that we did the whole, I mean, the interesting thing is I grew up in the two ethnicities that neither one of them eats meat on Christmas Eve. It's
so Polish and German, so.
Do Germans not eat meat on Christmas Eve either?
No, they often try to kill the Polish. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
There is a history of that.
But heavily Catholic. So my family is heavily I grew up super Catholic. Meat doesn't exist.
As an altar boy on Christmas, I was normally altar boy for like 3 different masses.
So you want to hear a funny story about that? I was an altar boy too. Mm-hmm. Easter Sunday, I was ringing the bells, except I was sick. Ended up having to leave and throw up in the bathroom down the hall, and then come back and ring the bells again.
Here's the one for you. I used to be the altar boy who would always be carrying the incense, because I was one of the few that they could count on to not pass out from carrying the incense during like the Easter Vigil or midnight mass. I was one of the few that could tolerate it for the hour. Well, not the hour. You know, for the 20 minutes that we'd have to hold it straight. I was blowing into the noses, and you know, you have people passing out in the first row.
Yep.
Oh man,
good days.
And
it's even better.
I've got stories about that whole thing.
The Catholic church I went to was on a military base.
Wow.
So okay, so you can see the combination there.
Very strict.
There were some good times.
Plus, it was an Italian neighborhood. The church, you know, the town I grew up in. I'm Italian on my mother's side of the family. The town I grew up in was probably about 75% Italian at the time.
Okay.
It was Italian. You know, mostly Italians, maybe 15% Croatian, and then maybe 5% Polish, and then a bunch of other things mixed in after that.
But Polish is always the best. I'm just saying, because, you know, our last names are easily the most enjoyable.
Well, it's really interesting. Whenever I go to Ren Fair and there's Polish sausage and Italian sausage, I always go with the Polish sausage.
Oh, of course. And it's not Polish sausage, it's Polish sausage.
Polish sausage.
Yeah. You got to say it right.
My father, to this day, when he goes to, you know, one of the legit Italian, not Italian, one of the legit Polish food stores, will let me know that he's picked up kielbasa.
Oh, yes.
I need to come get some.
Well, and then having my family, right, so Polish, but also German. So we always had Polish sausage with sauerkraut. Always.
Oh, yeah.
They do that on the Polish side, too.
Do they? You are no longer heard, but now seen and heard. Welcome. Blue Box, Loremasters Arcanum, episode 57, I think, if I'm keeping track.
at 57.
There's not a whole lot I'm actually keeping
50, blah, blah, blah.
good track of, but I think I'm close on that. And then, hang on, let me get that moved over so we can see Evelyn a little bit better. And I am joined by an illustrious cast this evening. I have with me not only Evelyn, who is always right here making all the good things happen on Blue Box, but I also have with us tonight Thomas, who was with us for our last discussion Wednesday night of last week, role playing for DMs and players part 1. This is part 2. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm also joined tonight by Terry. You know him as Machik ED. He ran the great stream Tuesday night. He's got his Extinction Curse that runs every Monday night. I'll give them a chance to shout that out here a little bit later in the stream. And then Robert, you all know him as Phantom NJ. He is the most dedicated, consistent, and utterly wonderful member of all of these D&D streams, constantly just dropping biddies everywhere he goes and sprinkling all the streamers. He helps out with Jay's stream, my stream, Kayla's stream, and probably more that I don't know about. And then, you know, I'm just think it's going to be a fun conversation tonight. I want to jump into the topics very quickly. And the most important one, yes, it is part 2. Chris, good to see you tonight. Toriano, good to see you as well. Hey, Cameron! Don't worry if you can't stay long, Cameron. Just thanks for popping in. I should mention, by the way, Cameron, since you're on, next Sunday, this Sunday, rather.
The 21st?
Yeah,
yep.
The 21st. We don't have our regular stream for Rune Lords because Thomas is abandoning us.
What?
And so we have something very special happening. So we had Gen Z&D as an LMA stream a few weeks ago. I am doing a special one-shot with all Gen Z players, led by Just Plain Cameron and Chandler, son of Peter. And so it's going to be all players that fall in that Gen Z category, running some really fun, old-school D&D with a new school twist. It's going to be a great time on Sunday. All kinds of fun stuff coming here on Blue Box. So thank you for that, Cameron, and we're looking forward to it. By the way, you're supposed to get us friends that want to join too. Hey, Anna B. Meyer, good to see you. I'm looking at the chat. Heart of Adventure. Yeah, you're already here. Everybody ever saw. All right. So, to the topic. Let's go beyond the topic to the topic. Christmas.
No.
This was a huge.
It started in August July.
1 hour.
This
1 hour
was a
later,
huge pre-stream fight, and we are going to talk.
We'll get to the actual
play.
stream eventually.
Yeah, we will eventually. We're going to talk role play. We're going to get to the. we're going to get to the. Where the heck is my? I'll just minimize this.
Listen, John, I don't have all evening to be on this stream.
We're going to get to our Dragon Magazine article and talk about role playing, but the most important thing for us to start with tonight is when should Christmas start in your home? Now, there are opposing schools of thought on this, and I want to exclude Christmas in July because I think that's kind of a fun thing.
Okay.
Like that's a quirky sort of just do something for a week or two for fun, like a teaser. I think that's fine. So Christmas in July, I approve of that. Let's put it to the side. Now we're talking about when you actually jump into the season, the celebration, the music of Christmas. This is a heavy topic, and I would like a poll to be created, and I want you guys to help me with this poll, players,
right.
Participants rather, not playing tonight, collaborators, guests, whatever you are. So I think the clear winner, in my view, and I'll let you give the other views, is Christmas is special. It is my favorite time of year. I love Christmas so much. It is so important to me. I like preserving the uniqueness and specialness of Christmas. So I don't like to do it until the Friday morning. Like it could start at like 4 o'clock, 3, like many times my wife and I have been up at like 4 o'clock in the morning playing Christmas music on Friday after Thanksgiving. And it is, we got people in here that probably have no idea. This is not D&D, I know, but it's an important question. So that Friday morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning, we're playing Christmas music and we wait for it and then we relish it. And then we enjoy it and we play it nonstop and we do all the Christmassy things. All the way through Christmas, and then maybe for like a week or so, and then once you get past, the first of the year, it kind of gets like, well, yeah, you probably should pull it down. That's what I think is option 1. Go full tilt to Christmas the day after Thanksgiving. Option 1. All right, somebody give me option 2.
well, option 2 is easily September 1st. Let me explain. We have to understand that there are multiple holidays that happen in the fall, very few that happen in other parts of the years. We have things like Halloween, we have Thanksgiving, we have Veterans Day, we have Labor Day. All of these things happen in the fall of each year. But there is something to be said about Christmas.
Yeah.
There's something to be said. Well,
there is.
Nobody interrupted you?
I'm not interrupting.
John?
I'm agreeing. I'm celebrating you. Yes, there is something. Go ahead.
There is something to be said. Now, listen. Now, if you listen to Thanksgiving songs, great. I'm with you. If you listen to those Halloween songs, fantastic. But there's nothing like Christmas songs. Those Christmas songs bring a sense of rose-tinted glasses to you. They remind you of the past. They remind you of the future. It's like watching The Christmas Story on the 1st of September and going, oh, yes, now I remember what happiness is. Thanksgiving doesn't give you happiness. Halloween doesn't give you happiness. I hope not, at least. It is a fear-inducing holiday that is meant to scare you. But there's something to be said about the camaraderie, the love for your other person that is Christmas.
Thank you, John.
That felt like a good attempt. But I feel like you don't have to be scared by the other. I know. We're going to have to nuke this whole episode. I don't care. I came here to have fun tonight.
Well, we're going to have to cancel stream now. We've been deleted. I'm sorry, guys.
Listen, that was a beautiful, flowery speech, but we all know that Halloween music exists, and Halloween makes people happy, and Thanksgiving makes people happy, and people celebrate Halloween or holidays in different ways at different times. It's all cool, but there's one.
I know. I celebrate Easter in October all the time. What do you mean different times?
What? We're literally talking about celebrating Christmas 2 months early when it's like
early. No, on time. 2 months early would be May. We don't celebrate in May.
May.
Yeah, no, that's too early.
I
agree with you, Thomas.
Let's talk about the focus of this.
Oh, we get to the RP parts.
All right. So
this is why these people are fantastic.
But I need a poll. I want a poll. So we have September 1st. We have November, day after Thanksgiving. Is there another option?
John, you have 2 polls already in your chat here.
I don't see them.
Yes, you do. Me and Robert, we're both polls.
Oh.
Not wrong.
Wah, wah, wah.
There are the folks who put the Christmas tree up the day before Christmas and take it down the day after.
I think I saw that. Who was that? That was up
minute. Yeah.
Enoch,
Who does
really?
that?
That's very sad.
Oh,
I'm just
Sinekin, December 24th, begin music. December 26th, oh my gosh. That's all right. So that's option 3. So we have September 1st, but I think there's most people probably start around maybe start of November.
Whoa.
October.
So wait.
No, I know.
You had your chance, Terry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Robert.
I'm sorry, Robert. You go ahead.
So for me, it comes in stages. Like I can't listen to Christmas music until the day after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
One of the radio stations here is already doing 24/7 Christmas music, and I am not turning them on for another week and a half. That's just not happening.
I applaud your courage, sir.
Now,
Stay strong.
I know Christmas is not about the presents, but I'm not going to lie. I love giving presents. I don't care if I don't get any. I like giving them. And I started my Christmas shopping. My Christmas shopping is like 3/4 done. We haven't gotten to Thanksgiving yet. Part of it is because planning for making sure that I get everything in. But yeah, no, I've started that planning. Now I can't think about Christmas though while I'm still sweating here. So September is way out. It is too damn hot in September for me to even consider. As soon as sweater weather comes, I am north. I mean,
hello, Lady Colleen. Lady Colleen, I have no idea why you joined us. We're saying we're playing D&D or talking about D&D. We've not even gotten to that, but we do talk about D&D here. But we're just a bunch of fun nerds that like talking about all kinds of fun stuff. I'm sorry, Robert. Continue.
Yeah, so I mean, next week after Thanksgiving, maybe even the day before Thanksgiving, I will start I can turn on the Christmas music, even Thanksgiving Day. If somebody wants to play, I won't care. I can't do it. I mean, it's just no, not yet.
Depressing.
All right, so the poll can be September 1st. Let's call like November 1st. And then day after Thanksgiving, and then December 24th. Yeah, so those four options in the poll. Let's put them up in the chat, and as that goes up, thank you so much, Sieglund, the amazingly talented artist. If you don't see his stuff in our Discord, incredible, the 3D art that he creates. Yes, thank you, Manda and Robert. Oh, it's a gifted sub. Thank you, Robert. Didn't see that. All right, so let's jump into the topic today. We're in Dragon Magazine 188, and we talked about this last time. There's lots of stuff about roleplay in this magazine. I've covered this before, but I don't think you can cover it enough. I just think we got a lot of new viewers, people that weren't in the community a year ago when I did this on an LMA, and it is, to me, the central part of D&D, roleplay. And it is role, not roll. It is about... I like the combat. The combat's fun. We've had some streams that are mostly combat. But as I've got a bunch of theater people here as well, you all know I love the role play. Acting, merely acting, the thespian skills. You don't have to actually be a thespian to just role play. See what they did? Both of them, they were already in character. Bravo. So, I've got all kinds of topics I want to talk about tonight, but let's start with this one, which is participation. So you have a scenario here run in Dragon Magazine 188. By the way, I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. Dragon magazines are free on the Anon Archive. You can download all of them. There are like hundreds of episodes, or issues rather, that have...
Is this 118 again, John?
188.
188? Okay, I'll put it up in the chat.
Yeah, 188. But the archive has all of them. If you like just role-playing D&D, there's so many ideas in here. And yes, as TSR grew, they started talking about space-based role-playing games and post-apocalyptic role-playing games and the role of computers and CRPGs. And there's all kinds of content. It's all free. This is why the man does not want you to know about it. They don't want you to have the free things, but they are worthwhile, I promise you. So the first point is participation. DM, in our last game, when we left off, you were just about to fight the Serpentine, the ancient red dragon that you had been stalking for months. And player one, Thomas?
What? Where are we?
Player two, Evelyn. I think you're muted.
She's muted.
Somehow. You don't look muted on Zoom.
I can't read it.
Okay.
So
Right. Can anyone else read it, or does Thomas have to be all four players?
It's too fuzzy on my screen.
Okay.
Did you kill it? Where's my share of the treasure?
Go ahead, Thomas.
Which character was I playing?
All right. So, in the example above, the players have no idea what's going on. The time spent between gaming sessions has dulled their appetite for role-playing. And this could be even over a week. We live in such a busy, fast-moving world. By the way, the Christmas poll is almost closed. Please vote up top. All right. You got your chance to vote. All right, so I won't say anything, but yes. All right, vote. You have this thing that can happen between sessions. Now, some people like Tim runs his barbarian campaigns 3 or 4 times a year. And I want to compliment Tim rather, because he's not on right now, but he will send out emails 2 weeks in advance and associate the party, get them referenced back to what happened last time and really immerse them through email. Great way to do that. But with your regular campaigns that are monthly or bi-weekly or weekly, there's a suggestion here, but let me go to the crew. How do you guys keep your players connected and immersed so that when you jump into role play, their busy lives have not flooded their minds with things that flush out the last session?
Well, I can go in terms of speaking about the previous Monster of the Week sessions that we've done, because this is the most recent thing that I've kind of DM'd. Doing a recap at the start is really nice. And one thing that I've also done with some of the sessions of Monster of the Week, but it hasn't able to do with all of them is a really interesting introductory little snapshot of kind of what's going on in the world, something bigger that kind of gets them into the vibe of what we're trying to play and what we're trying to do, and helps them to kind of realize, oh, we're sitting at the table, we're starting to play, we're not just chatting anymore. But I think a recap especially is really, really helpful because it reminds them, oh yeah, that's exactly what we did. Because like I said last week, as a DM, you should be taking plenty of good notes, and you should be able to read over those notes and recap what happened. And I think that's very helpful. That's what I do.
All right. So the recap, let me ask you, is that similar to what we do when we have like what happened last time, or is it more than that for you?
So for me, it's kind of a bit of both. In some ways, I like to treat a recap as a way to remind my players of some things that they might have forgotten about or missed in the last session, that might have gotten lightly skipped over because they were moments that just didn't happen as huge as I was hoping they would. And also similar to what we do on all of our other streams, which is just precisely what happened last time, word for word, almost. Not like word for word. We don't need to get into the details of exactly everything that happened, but give them that recap to bring them back into.
Can tell you.
She can. Every single freaking word. She can tell you.
I have it.
She has it all. All right. Others on this topic.
I think I trust my players. And we do a mini recap with Extinction Curse, for example, but I expect, and there's an expectation with them, I expect them to come into the evening remembering at least partially what has happened last week and ready to embrace what is going to happen early in the night. And there's a trust that's built up with me and them that says, look, I do a lot of work. You all do a lot of work. We both are bringing something to the table to continue the story that we've had. I can't remember everything. You need to help me remember things. And I've done that early in individual nights. I said, do you guys remember what happened last week? Do you know where we're at, what we're doing? And it's important that they take ownership, that they take agency of what they're doing within the game. I shouldn't always have to be there to make sure that they are understanding of where they are and what they're doing.
All right. So Terry, two things. One,
yep,
I see that. You, along with a couple others, I have great players. I know that, but I always feel that with you. I really do. I'm blessed with that, and they help this channel. But I know you always. You remember things sometimes I don't remember. You pull things in with character, and it's tough as a DM. You're doing all the prep, and you got 6 backstories or 5 backstories and different characters and all they're doing and all your prep. And then, especially if you're running multiple streams or multiple games, that gets challenging. And you have always done that. So to you, I say thank you. But then part 2 to that is, you never say but, with part 2 to that, Twitch brings a whole other angle. So while your players remember, you have a host of audience members, some of which may have not have been there last time. So again, coming back to this idea of the refresh to get into the game, when my good friends at TSR wrote this article, Roll Not Roll, and participation, they could never have conceived of the idea that hundreds or even thousands of people would be watching your game. So let's I'm not repudiating, you're exactly right, but let's reframe it that way and let Evelyn or Robert respond.
So for me, I mean, I'm a bit blessed in the sense that I can get away with doing exactly a 5-minute recap, not even a recap, really just reminding the players of where they are and a very, very brief synopsis of why they're there. I happen to have one player who takes copious notes. And so
you always have that one player. You always do. I have 2, and 3 on my Sunday game.
What's surprising is we don't often have to go to her to find out details. Usually, everybody just remembers where they are. Now, and this is for the game that, had been weekly up until recently, and now we've gone to kind of once a month or twice a month, because now that things have started to open again and people have holidays and lives and such. When we were playing once every 3 months, and we were doing a 12-hour session. It was an all-day thing. I might spend a half an hour discussing, making sure people were up to speed. But we also had an email chain where people could ask questions beforehand leading into it. So we didn't spend a lot of time on it. Anything that we needed to hash out was normally hashed out while we were, during the initial greetings, getting together, possibly having like coffee together. And then we jumped right into playing. But I don't know if it's because of the fact that most of my players have been playing for, 25, 30 years or whatnot. They just remember these things. We honestly don't have to spend a heck of a lot of time on it at all.
No, I think that's great. And by the way, just as I'm getting ready for the next question and working through this, I am of a mind so next week I have a planned LMA that's going to be different. But I think for the next, after that one, 3, 4, 5 LMAs, I really want to dive deeply into role play and different ideas and topics. I think this is such a rich mine that we can really delve into. Every time you guys make comments, everything I'm seeing in the chat, everything I look at in these Dragon magazines, I think this is something that is ill-served with 1 or 2 sessions of LMA. This needs to be delved deeply into. Now, Evelyn, you're the only one that hasn't commented on it. Anything else you want to say, or should I move on to the next part?
I mean, as a DM who has not yet started a campaign, I can't speak too much of the DM side of things as far as like helping to refresh things and bring people back into the game, since I haven't done that yet. But I am the note taker. I like taking notes. It helps not only though, just like for the sake of like helping remember everything, but it's for characterization purposes too. Like my character experiences these things, so therefore she would remember these things. So it's very important that like I take copious amounts of notes so that I remember what she would remember, because if I'm not remembering what she would remember, then I'm not really playing to my character to her full potential. So
yeah, I think no one here doubts that you as a DM will have everything well in line. All right, so let's go back to the article quickly here, and we're just going to tackle a couple of topics tonight. We got about 45 minutes or so to go, and I want to say thank you again for everyone joining us, and I would love to have you all back for the next installment. It will not be next week. Next week, I have John Fuller, Demon Gund, and I may have some of those other guests that we talked about last time, Hollow Fox and some of the other creators inside Tailspire. And John said he has a special surprise for me and our whole community that he has got worked out. So I don't know what that is, but I'm looking forward to next Wednesday night with him. But then once we get on the other side of Thanksgiving, I'll line up several of these role play discussions, and I would like to go into character creation and voice acting and background motivation and a million things. Pull in our theater experts and our old school role play experts, and you guys can send me topics and ideas. I wouldn't mind if we did 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these on different subjects, because I think this is the core of D&D. One thing I want to highlight here is the suggestion that was mentioned, and I've done a little bit of this, but I think I could be better with it. So back to our participation question, the way the Dragon Magazine folks suggested, they said the best way to avoid this problem and the wasted time that goes with it is to get your players in the DM ready to play before you begin. The way to get people warmed up for role-playing is the same way people ready themselves for sports with warm-up exercises. These exercises should be fun and help to get the players back into the role-playing frame of mind. To start, ask a player to tell you what color the local tavern is painted. Ask another player to ask you how his character celebrates birthdays, or whether or not he kissed anyone on his last birthday. If they did, ask who it was and have them explain the circumstances. Be careful with this if you're on stream. When the player comes up, suitably creative answer, move on to the next person. Don't force him to be imaginative. Don't ask him questions which he already knows the answers. Make the person think. The best way to get everyone warmed up is to fire as many questions at the players as you can, and when they get the hang of it and they're ready, it's as simple as that. For warm-ups, you can move directly into the adventure knowing that the group is well prepared to play. Now, I can see some flaws in that as well, but I think as an idea, popping your players with some questions about their characters and their backgrounds. Don't delve into things that they don't want to reveal yet to the other PCs, right? Because that's a big part of the game. Like, you've got this great background. You're not trying to like vomit onto the other players. But any of you, like, I really want to get some thoughts from Terry and Evelyn as theater people, because I know you have things. Yes, I know you mainly do props, Evelyn, but you're both so involved around theater. I'm sure there are warm-up exercises to get into character, things you've seen either actors around you do or coach. But let me go to Thomas, because he seems to be the most animated on this topic. So I'm going to start with you, Thomas. Go ahead.
So thank you, because I just really wanted to mention that this is something that I have done before in my home games of Monster of the Week. It's not something I was able to do on the streamed games that you guys have seen, because the streamed games involved pre-generated characters, which meant that all of the people playing it didn't necessarily have as big of a foothold in their character coming in as they might if they made their character. And the reason for that was just because it was more efficient. It was kind of last minute, and it made things easier to kind of dish out. But what's neat about Monster of the Week is it takes place in a modern setting, which makes it really easy to, like, I would always ask, give me 2 things that your character relates to the town around them. Like, one of the players would say that he used to go to school at the local high school and he had a best friend there, or yada, yada, yada. Like, just give me 2 things location wise in the town, and then I can use that as a DM later to bring back to them.
I love that. Yeah.
Which was a really nice starter for the session. I would always take detailed notes on what they said, because it became the word of law. Like, what they said became what their character did.
No, that's really good. I like that. And I think, look, as a DM, don't feel overwhelmed with this. If you're a DM and you're new to it, or you're busy and you can't keep the detailed notes, Thomas, Evelyn, and to a degree Chandler, I would call anomalies. They are super detailed note takers, and they write everything down, and I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not, like, I think Robert's on the opposite end of the spectrum, and that's not a criticism. That's like the improv and the creativity that Robert brings is always on point, and he knows enough about his game to keep it, contiguous, but he's not going to be the guy that's doing, what Evelyn's doing. Robert, go ahead and respond.
Yeah, no, so I mean, it's weird the way the mind works. My memory, especially when it comes to campaigns that I'm running, is honestly, it's freakishly good. I've had details that I've remembered that people swear didn't happen until I went to my note taker, and that happened. Yeah, we remember now.
I always knew you were a freak, Robert.
It's something I get away with. Because of the fact that I do remember so many details that just, probably should have been considered minutia lost a long time ago. It's so, I mean, as a player, I do like to take notes. I don't detail every little note. The important things, anything that strikes me as something that really need to remember, because honestly, your character's not going to remember. You're not going to remember everything.
No, it happens.
Your character won't remember everything either. So it's the things that hit me that, okay, no, this is something I should know. This is an NPC I should remember, and something that they told me should stick with me. I'm not writing every little detail out, mostly because I also need to make sure that I'm focused on what the DM is saying and what my fellow players are saying. And if I'm spending time writing notes, it's hard for me to stay in character if I've got my head down and I'm not focusing on what's going on around me.
All right. So Evelyn and Terry, I'm coming to you next, but I want to comment on what Robert just said. To me, that is the core of why I think I am a fair to middling note taker as a DM. I've got my graph pad here. I've got, like, you probably can't know, it's all like, but I've got pages and pages of notes from all my games and all the thing. It's like, I even record like rolls as often as I can, and I'm not as good as Gimbal, Rory is, but I do as best I can. But as a player, yeah, you're right. You don't want to be overly note-taking. You want to be immersed. As a DM, to me, it's sevenfold. If I've got 6 players, I'm trying to remember my story, my NPCs. I'm trying to be invested with all their characters and their backstories. And so my note-taking is like quick jotting and like just things I can try. And then I do rely on my memory a lot, which is clearly not as Android AI nature as yours, Robert, but it does a pretty good job of recalling details. And I've had those experiences as well where players don't remember things I remember, but I also have experiences where players remember things I don't remember. It's like none of us have the perfect eidetic, I guess they call it, memory, but it is something that everyone finds their own DM level. And as a DM, I guess what I would want to tell any other dungeon masters is don't feel overwhelmed. Do you? If you want to take copious notes and be super detailed, that's your style and that makes you feel comfortable, do it. And by the way, that's a rich experience for your players because it really does take a sort of a connective tissue between all your games in a way that's deep. And they can know that if they sneeze in episode 3 and you remember in episode 23 that sneeze hit the hand of the nobleman that offended him and it didn't even come up in that session, but you can tie that together, that is a glorious way to make D&D feel different. But if you're the DM that's more of an improv person and maybe you're like, I think Robert and I are pretty close, like you take some middling notes but you rely a lot on memory and immersion, that's fine. Or if you're completely improv and you just show up in the moment to play with the game and rely on memory, all of it's fun, all of it's good. All right, Terry, let me come back to the question. The question was how to get your players and your game on track when you've had even a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks of space between the game. And the suggestion from the writers of Dragon Magazine, who wrote this article? This again was, George T. Young. So George Young said, pepper them with questions. What do you do in the theater?
So here's the thing, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about theater, but this is such a unique space, right? The people who play these games, who are our players, are not necessarily the same types of people who I would deal with in theater. Now, I'm not saying I've worked with plenty of people.
Wait. Qualify that. Are you saying we're of a lower grade?
No. What I'm saying is that the passion that falls behind a player in a TTRPG game is different than someone who is performing in a piece because it is something that they have to do.
No, that's fair. No, and or if they're looking at it as their life, their future, their career.
Right.
I'm teasing. It's different. You're right.
And so one of the things to be aware of, especially with players, is oftentimes bringing them back into the game is not that big of an issue because of their passion for the game. So I am both a player and a DM. I'm a player for you. I DM with mine. And what I found is as a player, I don't need that spark to continue the story forward. As a DM, especially with Extinction Curse, because we've had some issues with internet and my current situation in life, we've had some breaks. We've had 1 week breaks, we've had 2 week breaks, we've had 3 week breaks. But what I found every time is my players, because of their passion for the game, it is less work to bring them back into the game after a break than it would be for a theater practitioner. And what I do as a DM to bring them back into the game is I talk to them. A lot of times, especially since I stream, a lot of times before the stream. And then as the game continues, I give them hints. And suddenly those hints, they remember things. And that's what's so great about players, right?
Yes.
We can give them this little tidbit and they'll go,
that is my favorite. It's my favorite.
Exactly. And so luckily, what we do as DMs for D&D, for Pathfinder, for TTRPGs, is we have players who are passionate about the game. And our job is way easier than anything in theater because of those players.
I love that. I love that. And so as we go to Evelyn, I want you to respond to this, but also think about, if you would, Evelyn, sometimes you get that new player and they haven't had time to get passionate yet. They're learning the gaming system. Maybe they're nervous at the table and you're still trying to pull them in. So what are your thoughts on this topic in terms of getting them engaged after maybe a week or 2 or 3 or 4 layoff? And is it different for experienced players and new players, and what your thoughts are?
I mean, anytime, you're coming back to it, it's kind of dusting those cobwebs away.
She's doing parenting. All of you wait.
Dusting the cobwebs away and kind of having to refresh yourself on where you are at the time. And I mean, some of that, I feel like, at least experienced players or players that know tend to do a little bit of that on their own before they even come to the table. And so, I've been off for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. I need to spend time kind of looking back over my notes so that I can get back in best foot forward sort of situation. I might not necessarily, and depending on the level of note taking that player does, they might be like, well, I might not necessarily remember everything, but I can hit these key points of, this is what we did last time. But I think the biggest thing with new players is especially when you have players that are coming to the table for the very first time, never played a TTRPG before, never been in that sort of situation, is to make sure that you're playing at a table, you're DMing a table with any experienced players that are welcoming. They are more likely to get into the role play, more likely to participate when they feel welcomed and like they're not going to be made fun of for making certain character choices. Like they are not, like that they're going to be ostracized, like that they're going to have somebody be like, oh, you made that character choice. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Or, those sorts of things. Like, when you're coming in for the very first time, and even with a new group, like even, because for me, like as a player who had a good about almost 15-year break between the time that I played last, it's nerve-wracking coming into a table of unfamiliar players, especially when you have not played for a long time, and especially like not knowing what to expect. And, the biggest thing that any table of players can do to get another player involved is just be willing, be open, be friendly, and remember that key tenet of improv: yes, and always, involve them in the process. And that's the biggest things that we can do as, people who have been playing for a while, and in DMs especially, and getting new players involved and getting them excited. And that's how you grow your players, make them feel appreciated and loved.
No, I know. I love that. So hang on. So Amanda said role playing is very intimidating. If you're not the only one who's really into it, it can make you feel foolish. Yeah. Okay. So like, I think that's a good topic as well. Players who are
Harry's not excited.
I want to respond to it, so I'm going to let John go first.
Players who are into voice acting and players who aren't. Players who are super enthused and But before I go to Terry, I want to really expand more on what Evelyn said and say, you said if you have a character, that you want to create, and you feel like players at the table or maybe the DM are saying, why'd you do that? That's dumb. Now, obviously, if a player has a game world or a gaming system where certain classes or races don't exist, I don't think that's what you're talking about. So have you experienced that, Evelyn? Like where you've sat at a table and you were made to feel uncomfortable about a choice you made?
No. I have been the 2 tables that I have played at before I got to know all these other lovely people. But the 2 tables that I have played at before you, John, you were my second. The first was my group of high school friends. So I did not experience that like judgmental side of things, but I have actually seen lots of stories of people recounting things that they've experienced where other players this new player will come to the table and another player will go, oh, you're making that choice with this classic character type. Like your cleric is doing what now? Or your rogue is following this trope. How boring. Why would you do that? It's been done a million times before. There are actual players at tables who will act this way. And, you know, these are like there's an entire Reddit that is dedicated to D&D horror stories like that. You can read about them. And I have read lots of them. And it is frightening how many people are so unwilling to like let people just enjoy a game. It's a game.
Yeah,
let's play.
Yeah, no, like I'm shocked to hear that. And by the way, tropes exist for a reason. People kind of like them. If you want to play the drunken dwarf, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you want to play is fun. Now, DMs can have their game world. So if I'm in a Dark Sun world, I want a Thri-kreen as an option. If I'm in the Forgotten Realms, there are no Thri-kreen. And that's okay for me to say as a DM. I can have my restrictions, but you'd never make fun of a player choice on tropes and styles and what they want to do. If they want to have... you know, the mad wizard who's obsessed with guano, so be it. That is fine. Now, Terry, you've been just chomping at the bit.
So I want to respond to Mystical Unicorn. And for those that didn't catch it, Mystical Unicorn said, role-playing is very intimidating. And if you're the only one who's really into it, it can make you feel foolish when other players don't feed off of it and join in. And this is something that is not only true with role-playing. This is where I can bring theater into this statement. And one of the things that we have to learn as individuals is to not, and this is probably one of the toughest things that I'm going to say to most everybody out there, is to not worry so much about what other people think when we are trying to find enjoyment in our own creations. I am a designer. I have directed, I have acted, I've done lots of things. And one of the things that you have to realize is that there are going to be people out there who look at you weird and not understanding what it is that you're doing. And this is so huge because, John, you know, when it comes to role play, that is my thing. I love the role play aspect. I love the story. I love creating a world that these characters live in and inhabit and live and die. And as a role player, as especially new role players, and we as DMs have to encourage this. We have to make a space for new players to be able to create the characters that they want to create. Yes, we may have seen this character 8 billion times as DM, right? Let's be honest. Dwarven drunks, I have seen dwarven drunks forever.
Human wizards?
Human wizards. Yes.
Well, but that's even a different topic, like race, class. I mean, that's
no. I know, but like,
but it is
the classic like high wizard wearing a robe. But I tried to put a little spin on it.
But
with
the tropes are fun.
I would argue elven wizard is a bigger trope than human wizard in most of D&D. But anyway, go ahead, Terry.
And we as DMs have to be encouraging for those new players. We have to say, yes, do that. Be that. Bring your character to life, because it's only by going through the tropes that we then extend past those tropes and start to learn new things, new characters, new combinations. You don't get there before that. A human fighter, let's be honest. Who hasn't seen a human fighter before?
But what's wrong with there's lots of them out there? It's fine.
Exactly. So let our new players embrace that and encourage them and give them what they need so that they can grow. It's just so frustrating to see DMs who look down on that and are negative towards that. Not that saying, and this group, I mean, this group's fantastic, but we all have been there where we have seen a DM go, oh, okay.
Well, I guess I'm just that blessed. I have honestly never had that happen to me.
You're a lucky bastard.
I'll take the first one, maybe the second. I don't know. I get. And by the way, the chat's blowing up. I do want to say, Sieglid had a very nice comment for you, Terry. He said, "You seem to have a good balance of what a game needs and what makes the game more fun and move forward." He liked your stream. Thank you so much for that. Cowboy Hob is in tonight. Good to see you as well. Bellow Pop, congrats on the gift sub. Thank you, Robert. That was very kind of you. And then Lord Gazumba was in, and Jay said, he thinks it's a very welcoming community we have here, and it's a rare event. And I agree. I've not seen that really on any of the streams that are connected with the folks that I'm connected with here. But these stories are real. I know they happen because I'm hearing them all the time. So please don't think I'm dismissing that. I'm frankly shocked. I would have a real problem with that if anybody did that at my table. And then let's see here, just looking through the chat. Thomas, anything you saw in the chat we should call out?
Not necessarily. I wanted to comment on like it's all, and what Terry said is like the DM starts the attitude of the game. They are the ones bringing people to the table, and it is up to the DM to decide how that's going to go. If you want a very laid back game that doesn't have a lot of role play, that's totally fine. If you're looking to just roll some dice, hit some monsters, maybe try 4th edition D&D. Let me recommend that. But also at the same time, it's totally valid and totally fair. But if you're looking to make a game that tells a really unique and compelling story, definitely, if you don't know how to do that as a DM, check out what other DMs are doing. Check out Blue Box. Like I have multiple times cried on stream or gotten very close to doing so, and that is because of the atmosphere that John has created at the table.
Verklempt. You just got verklempt.
and like if you're looking for other examples, like we've talked about it before, but Critical Role does an insanely good job at this. It's the style of the way that the DM brings themselves to the table and how they treat their players and their characters as individual people that also sit at the table side by side with the players. Because if you look at it like that, you'll bring an entirely different aspect to how you play the game.
Well said. And Robert has been quiet. Thank you, Thomas. Robert's been quiet so long, he looks like he's about to burst. So go ahead, Robert.
He does.
So funny story. I have to give a shout out to my Friday night players. I mean, I do this probably every single time.
Was there something on Friday night? What's that?
Friday Night Crusades. The original idea, honestly, was, Thomas, you mentioned just getting together, roll some dice and whatever. That was all it was supposed to be. It was, we were looking in Discord talking and like, well, why don't we just do something Friday night? It's like, all right, well, just roll up some characters, play, whoever wants to come, comes, whatever. I'm actually kind of, saddened that Lee is not here at the moment because Lee's probably the number one catalyst of all this.
Lee is amazing. I'm so glad they found our community because just consistent and great ideas, fantastic writing. Has been amazing.
But the role play on Friday night is just completely, utterly off the wall. And with the exception of Lee, it's mostly what you would consider old school players. But they just feed off each other. And honestly, other times I don't have to do a damn thing. I can just sit there and just let them go. And I mean, the group's got there's inside jokes. There's relationships that are going on that we're still trying to sort out. I don't know where it's going. I've been told there's possibly going to be a wedding at level 5, but not before then. I
love that.
There was a love triangle briefly. We have to get Chuck back on so we can continue that. It's completely, utterly off the wall. More than I could ever have expected. And they really, they just drive it. My job is to, make sure, honestly, remember where we are, what we're doing, and trying to remember who was at what session because there's been so many of them and anyone can come in. Plus we've got, we won't mention the Goblin Harem distraction.
There is nothing better than the Goblin Harem. And
two words I never expected myself to say in the middle of a game: Goblin Harem.
No, and that is D&D. That is the glory of D&D. All your best laid plans go to crap and then turn into the best things that could have ever happened because they're so much better than what you had designed. But thank you for that. Prometheus, thank you so much. Sparky, also well said. And then I had a comment here. The chat's moving too fast. Where was it? Oh, Thomas. Vivi asked for your social. So Okay, great.
Tagged him.
Well, go ahead and pop them. Everyone, if you could, pop your socials, any streams. Let's pop them in the chat for everybody. And I'm just scrolling through the Dragon magazine here. We're going to be talking about role-playing here for the next several weeks. I have deemed it so here at Blue Box. Our LMAs. Next week, we're going to take a foray into Tailspire with John, Demongund, and Hollow Fox, and some other creators. That's going to be a great stream next Wednesday night. Don't miss that. Sunday, we have our special Gen Z actual game. So we did Gen Z D&D as an LMA, but I have a one-shot with all Gen Z younger players, really introducing them into this, I don't even say old school, just call it the original D&D style, role play, combat, fast-paced motion. It's going to be a fun time. That'll be Sunday in place of our Rune Lord stream. And then finally, Greyhawk Awakening is back next Tuesday night. We have been so disrupted by many of our life's events. It's going to be a big week coming up here on Blue Box over the next several days. But
John's killing all of us.
It's killing me too.
I mean, we are all poisoned after all.
We are.
And on my Rune Lords camp, I still have the Kraken and the
Stop.
everything. It's all,
Stop it.
It's all sitting on the
Schrodinger's Kraken right now.
Release the Kraken.
It's still on the table here.
You literally, my stomach just sunk the moment you said Kraken. Like seriously,
I've got the whole field of carnage here. We could have literally. I won't say it anyway. Let's move on. All right, so let's go to one more topic here before we close off, and we're going to raid Jay here in a bit. Thank you everybody for following us tonight. All the new viewers, all the chatters. You are mad. Oh, by the way, don't think I missed it. There was a winner. There was a clear winner.
Yes.
There is one way the Mad Chatters have decided there is proper Christmas celebration. It was overwhelming. I believe in aggregate, all of the options could be doubled to the total that was received by the correct choice, which is you embrace, you celebrate, you leap with both feet and immerse yourself in Christmas. The morning after Thanksgiving. So you make Christmas special. It's like you save that favorite thing you have on your plate. And your parents think you don't want to eat it. But no, the reality is you want it more than everything else on your plate. So you finish the rest and then you eat that bit. Christmas is that last bit of the year. And the Mad Chatters have spoken. And I'm muting you, Evelyn. Muted.
No, and John, you have to understand.
Oh, wait, Terry, I'm sorry. I'm muting you too.
It should have been Terry.
Sorry, Terry, you're muted too. All right.
The results were taken by Thomas in chat.
Keep muting them.
They want to win the giveaway, so I would agree with John too.
Well, there's no giveaway tonight. Sorry,
you say that now.
I've not announced a giveaway tonight. I've never said there was a giveaway
they all
tonight.
Thought there was.
No, they didn't.
Your way.
Okay.
Smart move, people. I would vote his way too to win.
Christmas never dies. No, it never dies. That's right. All right, Evelyn, you had something you wanted to say?
No, I'm fine.
What is that? What is that, Steve? Steve, what did you say? I'm sorry.
It just got cold in here. Where's my sweater?
Evelyn, I shouldn't have muted you. I'm sorry I muted you.
It's
Please
weird.
forgive
It's
me.
snowing outside now. Huh.
I've just brought Christmas.
I hear sleigh bells.
Are those
going
reindeer?
on?
What?
Oh, hey, good night, Jay. No worries. All right. Hey, yes, thank you, Chris. By the way, Chris, I look at your glasses every day. Those frost things are amazing. I'm going to do some giveaways with those as we get close to Christmas here. I want those to be part of our December celebration. So you're going to see a lot of those Chris Witch, Set Monkey stuff is going to be given away here in December, and we're so thankful for that.
John, I just want to say, you said Chris. Now, I've known Wick since 2004, and I didn't realize you were talking about him because I don't think I've ever called him Chris.
Sorry, Wick. I do know Chris is your first name because I had your mailing address because I sent you stuff. But I will call you Wick from henceforth. I have been properly chastened. All right, let's do one more question here before we wrap up. So we've got the go with the flow. That's about railroading the impossible situation. I like that one too. And then creativity and uniqueness. All right, let's jump into this one because actually I didn't finish reading it when I was prepping today, but I was kind of confused as to where they were going, and I like that old Camelot Games ad there on the right-hand side. That is so fun to see these old school things from 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Crap. Gosh, I'm getting so old. Anyway, creativity and uniqueness. So here's a story. Thomas, go ahead and read that to us.
DM. A short, grubby halfling wearing leather armor approaches you, and I bash him in the face with my axe, take his pouch, and go directly to the nearest jeweler. How much do I get? Murder hobo.
All right. And so the comment here, and I read this and I was like, creativity is the most necessary element for players and DMs in role-playing a game, especially since the game is played entirely in the imagination. I agree with that, although we have, even then we had minis. You had, you know, bright boards and stuff, but imagination, theater of mind is the foundation of all D&D. I don't care what accoutrement you have. I don't care if you got VTT tools or you got minis and terrain. You still have to be able to have the imagination of the story in your head. And I enjoy sometimes just cutting off everything and just going to the old school theater of mind. I think these things are augmenting. None should replace the other. But moving on. However, too few players use their imagination as well as they might. In this example, the player believes that he is faced with a thief and no interaction is necessary since the player is looking only for a little treasure. Okay, I get that because the player punched this guy in the face before any other interaction happened. Now, this is the sentence that I disagree with the author on. He said, the DM is also at fault, for he has presented an encounter with a cliched, uninteresting NPC, and the player is only responding to what he's been given. Now, look at back what the DM said. A short, grubby halfling wearing leather armor approaches you, and what's the cliche there? You're describing, a race, and the way that they look. It could be a clean, smirking halfling in gleaming, leather armor. It could be. That's not. And by the way, the DM was still talking. There's "and" with a dash. Like he wasn't even done with the description. Am I missing something here? Why is he saying the DM's at fault?
And normally pickpockets are very good at looking like whatever they want to look like. So that why would a pickpocket come up to you looking exactly like a pickpocket?
But by the way, why is a pickpocket going to necessarily let you
Stroll up
steal them anyway?
you?
Exactly.
He's approaching you, and all right. So I want to make sure. Like I read this and I was like, I don't get it. Terry, Evelyn, are you seeing something I'm not seeing? Like, I don't think the DM was at fault here. Okay. And by the way, I don't mind if the player does that. That's fine. If a player, maybe you create, this is, again, back to the DM's responsibility. You might have this really cool NPC with this whole built out backstory, and he's actually somebody that, like, my players have done this to me many times. And if the players choose to react in some random way, tell him to piss off, or take a swing at him, then you roll with that. No, you can't do that. No, as a DM, you can't stop the players from reacting. But I don't see the DM failure here.
No, and John, I just want to throw in here, right? Is the player. The statement the player says there, I bash him in the face with my axe. Well, you haven't rolled for it, so we don't know if you've bashed him in the face. Okay. I go and take
you can say I try to.
You can say I try to, but you have not done it yet. Trust me on that, because the three guards that happen to be walking by, well, then they're going to bash you in the face, which you have to be prepared for.
And these things can go both ways. John, if you remember when we were in the study of that mad wizard who was making the golems, Chandler's character innocently started to try casting a spell, and you were like, yes, here is my time to start attacking. Because, of course, he's casting a spell in my lap. I don't know what he's doing. I'm going to hurt him. Like, what else am I supposed to do?
No. So I think that, all right, so we're going to move away.
Both ways.
Yeah, it does go both ways. And in that moment, I'm glad you brought that up. So you were being a bit tongue-in-cheek, but obviously I was not thinking, this is my chance to attack. Right. Evelyn, you were there. You know me. What was I thinking as a DM? What do you think I was thinking as a DM, Evelyn?
How do I kill the player?
Tell me, man.
No.
Sorry.
No. So let's describe the moment in more detail, because we've got some people that didn't see that episode. So
yes, Evelyn, tell us exactly word for word what happened.
All right, go ahead, Evelyn.
Oh God, I don't.
I'll set the scene. I'll set the scene. I'll let you respond. So there was an artifact which was beneath the city of Magnamar, which had been stolen by a renegade golem maker. He had worked in the main golem works in Magnamar, but he had left the golem works, had gone underground, and was reputed to be working with necromantic magics and other sorts of unsavory arcane means. The party chased him down, went through several. There was lots of cool stuff that happened. It was a fun episode. That was all tabletop. It was all like really cool Dwarven Forge minis and terrain, and the players did a great job. But in the final BBEG battle, when they got inside, there was parley. And they found this mad golem maker, and he was actually talking with them. And there was plenty of opportunity for them, in my mind, to walk out of there without combat. But in the middle of parley, one of the PCs, Chandler, Thomas, son of Peter, who's playing Markov, began casting a spell, which included both verbal and somatic components. So he's doing this right in front of this golem maker, who is also himself a wizard. That is a threatening movement to make in the middle of a parley. So this was not me thinking, I want to kill the party. Evelyn, what as a DM, if I'm a good DM, what am I thinking?
Well, you're thinking in from the perspective of the NPC that you are currently running as, and as someone who is trained in that, they would see that as a threatening gesture. They don't know necessarily, because even Thomas has talked about this before, that different wizards and casters can use different verbal and semantic components for their spells. See, I remember things. So he doesn't know that Chandler, Markov is not just using different verbal semantic components for a spell that could throw a fireball right down on his head. So of course he's going to react. He's not going to wait to find out what magic is being cast on him here.
Exactly. Shall I wait long enough to see if I can recognize these various somatic movements and what materials are being pulled out from the pouch to know if it's actually going to be dangerous to me? No, he's going to strike immediately. He's going to react defensively. You're in his lair. You're showing up with arms and armor and weapons and surrounding him. So it was very much not my chance to kill the players or attack. I didn't even kill any of them or attack the players. It was because they fled. Actually, they were very clever. They fled. But it was that this is an opportunity to play this NPC in the way that he would react in that moment. And similarly with our guy that gets punched in the face, I like Terry's idea. If you just walk up and smack somebody in the face with an axe, when all they're doing is walking up to talk, especially a halfling, like you're this little guy, gal, you're smacking him in the face. There could be guards, there could be just passersby. You might have just somebody that leaps on you. What are you doing? Like, you look like a madman. And that I think as a DM, let's close with this, and we're going to raid Jay. You said a guard patrol, Terry, coming by. Now, I don't like to over-engineer as a DM. Like, was there really a guard patrol going by? Do I have a set timeline for my guard patrols? I don't want the players to feel like I'm totally arbitrary. But there are times where players do certain things, and you as a DM, I believe, are in purview to react with a consequence which is appropriate to what they've done, even if it wasn't something that is contiguous to some plan that you had associated with guard patrols. Evelyn seems to be very... I'll let you go first, Evelyn, and I'll go to Tim, because you look very animated.
I was going to say, yes, and is an important thing. But consequences follows that yes, and sometimes. Every action, reaction.
Yeah.
Whether positive or negative. So you can try being a murder hobo, but that means you're probably going to end up in prison. Those things over and over again. There's these things that, you can make these choices. You can randomly walk up to a person and punch them in the face, sure. Maybe they're a higher level character than you that's retired and is just wandering around the city, and now
John, you've got that on the stream.
Smoked by a paladin at level
right.
20. And you just decided to walk up and punch him in the face. Like, you don't do that.
So honestly, of all the options, just instinctively, that would have been my favorite option. I would probably not have had the guard patrol. I might have had a bystander jump in, but I think I would have made this halfling much more than he looked. I would have immediately given him like a 27 armor class and had him leap back with it. Just
suddenly your hand fractures against his face.
His adamantine.
It's actually
skull.
a golem. He's just got makeup all over his face. Yeah, no, I think there's all kinds of fun ways to do that. So before we close off, I want to show, we're going to raid here in just a moment, but I like this. The most important message of Dragon Magazine 188 is this one. Hold on here and back to this. Oh, we didn't even get into like your...
It's fine. We'll do it next time.
We got so much. We have so much to talk about. There's going to be all kinds of D&D talk on this, but this one here, this is the most important message of this article.
No.
Be nice to your DM, please. He's worked so hard.
John.
She has toiled so hard over all of her content. You must be nice to them. So anyway, enjoy this. And an Archive is a fun site. We're not doing a giveaway tonight, but we have lots of giveaways coming on Sunday. Reminder, we'll be back at 1:30 on Sunday for our special Gen Z one-shot. Just Playing Cameron will be on. Chandler, son of Peter, will be on. Thomas, I think you missed the cut. Send me your birth date again.
I'm a little busy.
Yeah, you're a little old. So anyway, we'll have a fun time on Sunday. It'll be a great stream. And then Tuesday, back with Greyhawk Awakening. Finally, yes. And then Wednesday, I have Demon Gun, Hollow Fox, and others that will be joining us for a very special Tailspire episode. And I want you to know, again, I mentioned earlier, John randomly messaged me on Discord today and said he had a surprise for me and the community here at Blue Box. I don't know what that is, but we'll see it next Wednesday night. All right. Rating now, Jay, as I get ready to raid Jay, any final comments from anyone on our panel?
Well, Kristen just made a great point here. D&D poster. She said, John saying be nice after muting Theater Evie.
That's true. I don't think I've ever done that before. I was just having fun.
He has the power.
I never mute.
The power has gone to his head.
Got his head. He's been tainted.
I never mute on the game, but like Christmas, yes, I'll mute you on Christmas, bro. Don't step to me on Christmas. Robert, I want to say thank you. You came on last minute. I literally called Robert like 30 minutes before the stream was live, and I'm like, could you join us? Would you? I don't know why I didn't ask sooner, but I'd love to have you on. And he said, man, I'll be there. Thank you so much. As always, Terry, Thomas, Evelyn, I appreciate all of you. And I'm going to kick off the raid, and we'll have a few seconds here. I'll pull that back down. So that, and any final comments before the raid is over? Go ahead.
I have one.
Yes.
I have one question for this lovely audience here.
What could that question be?
Well, if you're watching this amazing content that we bring you every week, and you're not following,
Are you not entertained?
Right.
and if you're following but you're not subscribed, and if you have committed the most grievous of sins.
No, let it not
You
be
have
so.
let your subscription lapse,
No!
and yet have to renew it. We have one question for you.
What's that question?
What are you doing?
Please give us a follow. Please give us a sub. We'll give you a few seconds here before we raid Jay. We got 42 waiting in the queue for the raid. Don't miss Jay's stream. Jay is our good friend. Lord Gazumba always has great content. I'm still giving you time. You can sub, you can follow, giving you time. Give me one more before we go. Just one of you, please. It will send
I'll say this.
Yes.
I was fake crying as part of that. And my wife was sitting over here next to me. She leaned over and she was very concerned. I was actually crying.
Well done, sir. Well done indeed.
Yeah, that
That's
is
a good
great.
actor I am.
Reacting.
Speed.
Just tell her they were tears of joy with the proper adjudication from the Mad Chatters on when Christmas should begin.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Blue
so
Box
wrong.
out. Raid starting.
What a great thing to end it on. Jeez.
All right. We raid with 42. That's fun. Thank you,
It's a
guys.
good raid.
I had a good chat. And yeah, so you guys can help me with this as well. So like drop me DMs. Let's build out a schedule. I would like to do Heck,
I think I'd like to talk next about new players and starting in. I think that if we start from that base level, like if you're new to role playing, if you've never role played, let's get you into it. I would love to show, I think, how well 5e does at that. But also I would like, John, you've got perspectives on 1e and 2e, and Terry's got Pathfinder perspectives. And
no, you misunderstand my perspectives though, because you know what I do? I love taking the 5e. Like I gank pieces from tools. 5e does a great job with character introduction and creation. Pull that into whatever your game is. I don't care if you're playing Pathfinder 1e, 2e, or 3.5 or 1e D&D. Pull the best parts from these tools and make your game. I love that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about.
And then there's like tools that are available online to actually help you generate your backstory. Like there's one that was actually for the Pathfinder 1E system where there's tables that you can roll on. If you're like stuck on your backstory and you're a new player, especially, and you don't even know how to approach this, you can just roll randomly on a table and generate a character like with your set of dice and have something.
There's a really inappropriately named website that is very good at coming up with randomly generated characters.
All right,
concepts.
what is it?
John,
what is it?
It's who the fuck is my dndcharacter.com.
What?
and you, every time you reload the page, it just says, screw character. I'm going to play an easygoing tiefling wizard from the improbable peaks who isn't technically alive anymore. And every time you reload the page, it gives you another one of these random groupings of like race, class, from somewhere.
Is there an ampersand or is it and spelled out?
I'll just link it to you.
No, it's who the fuck is my dnd.character.com.
There,
I was asking if the and is an ampersand or spelled out.
Yeah, it's DND.
Okay, gotcha.
No, I don't think you can do ampersands in URLs like that.
I didn't think so either.
Yes, you can.
Because I just got a bigoted gnome barbarian from Thornwood who is a twin that constantly impersonates them.
Okay, all right. You know what? I'm sorry.
You can get some really fun ones.
I feel like that would be a fun thing for making NPCs.
For sure.
I like this. There's other tools out there, but this is actually kind of funny. So we'll figure out a way. We'll incorporate this. I don't embrace a whole lot of vulgarity because we have some younger kids that watch our stream, but I think this is pretty cool. We'll show this next time. So pop other ideas. Terry and Evelyn, Robert, all of you, if you're thinking, here's a topic, here's a subset, we might spend 3-4 months talking about all the elements of role play and ways to bring your characters to life and different aspects of motivation.
Well, I've got one that actually I've talked to Evelyn about, is how to create a character through voice without accents using the Lebron technique.
Okay, good.
I would love to watch that stream.
I want to hear that because I feel like I do that a lot as a DM.
Yep.
I always
do.
Absolutely.
I sometimes will use my normal change my tone. Go here. But when I do, I always feel the urge to move into an accent. So.
Terry, what is that technique called?
Laban, Laban. It's actually a movement technique, but can be used with your voice as well. And it's a way to create characters without having to do an accent. It deals with the speed that you talk, the speed that you move, but you transition it to talking, how fast or slow, how light or heavy. So there's things that you combine together to create these Laban movements that you can use in your voice. We use it in theater to create movements of the body, but that movement of the body then transitions into the voice as well.
Yeah.
No, I like that because I find I try to do that sometimes, but I think I have a pattern I've built in my brain where when I want to go high or low, I slow down my speech or change my tone or get quieter.
That'd be a fun one to get Josh on for if possible.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah. All right. So let's flood the ideas. I think we can make the LMAs really grow here over the coming weeks. This would be a fun topic, and people want this stuff. I mean, you could say we were at 60 viewers tonight just for a stupid chat show for an hour and 15 minutes.
That's a pretty good amount of viewers for an LMA.
Yeah. Our that's one of our our LMAs I think have peaked in the 60s. So yeah, that's a really good night for an LMA. And of course we had some great people, and I think there's we just got a great community here, but we're going to definitely work on these things. So thank you guys. Everybody have a great night. And I love you all. Thank you so much for tolerating me and all of my strange moves.
Bye. And the correct answer on Christmas.
Bye. And remember, the day after Thanksgiving is coming.
It's Christmas. Bye.
Esther is lively this evening.
She's doing math puzzles.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, I did.
So
so I had a prompt up. I said